And welcome to Immediate Immersion Live, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. Sorry, there's something wonky with my camera, and it's showing part of my desk over here, so forgive me for that. But welcome to Immediate Immersion Live. How is everybody doing today? Let me know in those comments how everybody is doing. I want to let you know that this Thursday we are going to be talking to another CI Stories everyday teacher. We're going to be speaking with Lynn Hendrick. She is a German teacher from the East Coast, and we'll be talking with her on Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, if you're interested in catching that. It'll be recorded, so if you can't catch it live, you can obviously catch it on the flip side. Today we're going to be talking about feedback. So that's our topic today. Also, a couple things to let you know. Today was the first day for our Beyond the Basics course. It's 10 classes to help you advance with advanced CI skills. So if that's something you're interested in, it's open today, so you can still register. Let me go ahead and put that link up here for you. It is mm.us/beyond. Right there, you can see it. You can go ahead and register, and you get year access to that once you do register. It is 10 pre-recorded classes, so you can watch them and learn at your own pace. It includes workbook with handouts and reflection questions and action steps, all the good stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, you can take advantage of that. And as always, we have during this time of year, we have our Comprehended conference. That is going on right now, comprehended.co. Again, you can register for Comprehended. Let me put the link up there for 3, 6, 9, or 12-month passes. So if that's something you're interested in, you can go to comprehended.co and you can register for that conference. With that, let's go ahead and get started. I'll be right back after this short intro, and we'll talk about feedback once we get back. See you soon. And we are back. So, feedback. Let's talk about that right off the bat. So, what we want to do is shift from correcting to coaching, because we want our feedback to fuel growth. So instead of focusing on right versus wrong, we want to be able to guide our students towards proficiency by making feedback actionable and engaging. That's the goal. When feedback is too vague or too generic, then that can cause a problem because students don't know what action to take. And so it's not actionable and it's not growth focused. And that's what we want to try to do, because traditionally feedback was after the fact, obviously, and then it had a period on it instead of like a ... so that it could be moved forward. It was a final assessment of what they were doing, and there was never giving them anything to grow on. So let's talk about a couple strategies that we can do to make this shift. The first strategy is what I like to call the pause, prompt, and praise strategy. This is when a student makes an error, you pause to let them notice it. Then you prompt by giving a clue. For example, does that sound right? Or try again with, rather than just supplying the answer. And that's one of the things that I use a lot. I do the one where, does that sound right? because I don't teach with grammar rules. I teach by example. So if I'm going to be teaching the past tense, we've been doing stories in the past tense. And if I ask a kid, like what they did over the weekend, and they use the present tense form of the verb, I'm going to say something like, depending on the student, if it's a higher end student, I'm going to just ask, does that sound right to you? If it's a lower or a mid student, I'm going to give them a choice. Which sounds better? And then I'm going to give them the past tense and the present tense verb. And if they get it wrong from there, then I might go into a short explanation saying, okay, here's what this one means. It means they do something, and this is they did something. Point out the difference between them and then move on, because I'm not doing a whole grammar lecture. But I'm not supplying the answer either. I'm trying to let them figure it out, trying to let them notice what's going on there. And then I'm going to praise for effort and progress rather than just correctness, because I want to make the growth mindset happen. And so if you only praise for correctness, they're not always going to get it correct. And then they're not going to want to keep on trying, because especially if they keep getting it wrong. But you want to praise for the effort and the progress, the growth that they're having. That's what you want to focus on, and that will put them kind of in this growth frame set. Second strategy is to implement a 2-word feedback system. Feedback can get so convoluted and so wordy, and we don't have time. If you have, on average 150 to 250 students, I think I had at one time when I taught in Vegas and there weren't really class size limits, I believe I had 270 students at one time. So it can get really overwhelming when you're giving such wordy feedback, not only for you, but also for the students. So instead of overwhelming students with long corrections, give 2 words that hint at improvement. For example, verb tense to signal a tense issue, or more detail to encourage elaboration. Great flow to reinforce good phrasing. I use this all of the time because I don't correct kids' papers or their speech. I don't do that. I may rephrase something if it's spoken, but if it's written, I'm going to give them praise something that they did well on, and then give them one thing to grow on, the thing that will make the biggest impact in their writing right now. And so I will put this down in here, verb tense or more detail, or if I'm assessing a speaking assessment, and so I'm not correcting them at all and I'm not giving them any immediate feedback, I will type in the notes on the rubric in their grade what they actually was going on. So I might put verb tense in there, or more detail needed, or great flow, or something to that effect, so that they can really get the feedback that they need, because it gives a lot of information in those impactful words so that they can improve the next time. And the third strategy to make that shift is make errors visual with some type of proficiency tracker. So use like a color-coded system on written or spoken work. So green equals strong use of the language. Yellow is almost there but needs some tweaking. And red needs rework with a specific prompt. So that can really, really help as well. So you can either use 3 different colors like in highlighters, or 3 different color pens to mark it up if you want to do it that way, so that they know. Or on a rubric, you can highlight what they did really well in green what they really desperately need to work on in red, and the stuff that's kind of in the middle in yellow, to make it really easy and visual for students to really see exactly what's going on. And they don't have to analyze or try to figure out what is what. They can see it right away. They can see what they did good. They look for the green. They read what's underneath it. They look what they really did poorly. It's under the red. And then the stuff that's kind of in the middle is yellow. But the stuff that's in the red will be the biggest impact for them to move forward to get in the next rung of the rubric. And so I don't like to give a lot of red. I pick the one thing that will make the greatest impact right then and now on their writing or their speaking, and I'm going to highlight that on the rubric. They can work on another red thing later, but I'm not going to highlight that yet. I want them to focus on one thing. If they see too much red, they're going to think, I can't do this, I'm not good at this, I'm going to fail at this. And I don't want that to be the case. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to put them in the comments or in the chat if you're watching live. I do go back and I do pay attention and read them and answer your questions as we go along. Next, let's talk about frequent. We want to keep our feedback frequent, fast, and focused. So it's like the triple Fs. Feedback, frequent, fast, and focused. So frequent, fast, and focused is what we're trying to do. Because feedback should be ongoing and quick and targeted so students don't drown in corrections but get what they need to grow. If you take too much time, not only is it wasting your time, but kids aren't going to read it either. And so you don't want to do that. You want to keep it short and sweet. So the first strategy that I use for this is to use the 30-second feedback rule. So limit your feedback to 30 seconds per student when possible. This can either be written or oral, and it keeps it short, digestible, and immediately useful without overwhelming them. So that's what's really great about that. Keep it short and sweet, and then they can actually get it, absorb it, and then take action upon it. Strategy 2 is implement one focus feedback. I've talked about this already before, and if you've seen any of my grading and assessments, I always talk about only focusing on one area for growth. Instead of marking every mistake, pick one key area per assignment. Past tense accuracy, sentence flow, clarity, whatever it might be. This will help students actually apply that feedback rather than just seeing corrections. When you give them too many things to focus on, they're not going to be focused at all. And so we really need this to be focused on one thing. And I pick the biggest thing that would make the biggest impact to get them to the next rung in the rubric. And my third strategy on this is to gamify feedback with quick challenges. Kids love games, and when you can turn anything into a game, they love it. So instead of saying fix your errors, turn it into a challenge. Find and fix 3 small tweaks before I check it again. Or can you reword this sentence to sound more natural? Or swap with a partner and give one positive and one improvement tip. So when you do it this way and you give them this challenge, they're going to accept this challenge and they're going to be able to grow with it. You've gamified it a little bit, and that makes it a little bit more exciting than just look at your errors and make the corrections, which has never worked. My German teacher used to do this. I even had a Spanish teacher used to do this. They'd have us rewrite all the corrections, and yeah, I made the corrections right then and there, but they didn't stick to where I wouldn't make those errors in the future. And our last topic for today is going to be making feedback student-driven for maximum impact. So just like anything else in CI, we are always trying to make it student-focused, where the student is the focus of what we're working on. And so we want to make student feedback practical. And we want to do that by making it student driven for maximum impact. So students, we know this already. Students learn best when they take ownership of their growth instead of relying on teacher corrections. So a lot of times I will present a grammar topic in a form of a reading because they can actually see it. And then I will say, what do you notice about this? Or we're working on the past tense. Can you make any generalizations based on this reading? And so it helps them kind of be detectives and figure things out on their own. And that way they develop their own rules that apply. And when we discuss them, I can kind of fix any errors that they may have had. But it's much more internalized when they discover them themselves rather than me telling them. So the first thing I like to do is what I call a glow and grow self-reflection. So here's that one positive and one to grow on type of thing. So have students identify one glow, something they did well, whether it be in their speaking or their writing or their listening comprehension or reading comprehension, whatever it might be. And then one grow, something to improve upon. This builds awareness and makes feedback more effective. And it allows them to grow at a faster rate and internalize those growths because they're looking at their own work and they're identifying the best and the worst parts of their own work. And as I said, this builds that awareness so that they can focus on it. And when they are aware of their own errors and they discover them, they're going to be a little bit more top of mind than if I point them out or you were to point them out. Another strategy is to use feedback stations. So here you can set up different feedback stations where students move through a self-check station where they compare their work to a model or a rubric, then a peer review station where they get structured feedback from a partner, and then a teacher checkpoint station where they get a final refinement tip from the actual teacher. So this allows them to go through a 3-step process, 3 stations, to get their work as polished as it can be before they actually turn it in for the final grade. And each time they're becoming more aware of their writing, more aware of their positives, more aware of their weaknesses as they go through each station. So it's another great way for them to become self-aware of what they're doing, making the feedback more student-focused so that they can get in that growth mindset and actually make these changes. And the last strategy for that student-driven feedback is fix it first. So before students submit work, require them to review their top 3 past feedback points and fix them. So let's say they're going to be turning in their writing assignment, or they're recording their oral response to a question or a prompt. They need to go then and pull back the 3 previous papers or the 3 previous spoken rubrics and then look at them. Look at what their feedback points were. What were the 3 things they needed to be worked on, one for each thing, and then look over their current thing before they actually turn it in and see if they can fix any of those points. Did they make those mistakes that you pointed out last time? If so, give them time to fix it before they turn it in. If not, great, they learned from them. And by doing this, this reduces repeated mistakes and reinforces long-term learning. So I really, really like that aspect of it. And it gives them something to focus on, to actually look for, because they're taking their 3 past growth points and looking at them. And for some of them, it might not be 3 different growth points. It might be 3 of the same growth points because they still were working on that particular aspect. Now, one final idea that I wanted to leave you with is a really efficient way to give feedback is using oral feedback. So in a lot of learning management systems, you can give oral feedback and record it, and it gets attached to the assignment. So it saves you from typing or writing, and it saves the kids from reading. They can just listen to it. And so it makes it really, really easy to do, and it saves you a heck of a lot of time. Now there is, and I'm just going to get the website right here. I was planning on using this, but I didn't use it because I have it in my learning management system already. It's already part of it, so I don't have to do anything. But let me give you this other one. It's about $60 US dollars per year that you can do and give oral feedback to students. There is a free version, and the free version only allows you to give 20 voice recordings a month, and it's a 1-minute limit. But in the paid version, you get unlimited voice notes with a 5-minute limit. So that works much better. You should not be giving more than 5 minutes anyway. I try to keep my recordings to less than a minute or 2 minutes max. But 20 per month is not enough. That doesn't even cover a class size. So that might not work best for you. But the app that I'm talking about, let me put it here, is moat.com. Now, as I said, I haven't actually used it because, as I said, in my learning management system, it is in there. In my old learning management system, it was not built in. So I was planning on using this. But my new learning management system has the oral part built in, so I don't need to use a separate app. But you can do this really, really nicely. It works really, really well. So there's the site, moat.com. So you can leave some oral feedback and save time typing and kids reading. Now, I always forget, so I want to say before we go today, this is a short one. Please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. You don't even know. Just by liking the video, commenting on the video, subscribing if you're not already subscribed, it really helps the channel grow and gets out to more teachers. If you found this helpful, please share with some teachers who might be able to also benefit from it. And again, just to remind you, you're welcome to join our Beyond the Basics at mm.us/beyond course. It's 10 pre-recorded classes that goes beyond the basics of basic CI. Most of the training that you get is basic CI training, how to start, and here's some new ideas that take you to the next level. We also have our Comprehended Conference 2025 going on. So if that's something you're interested in, again, you can go ahead and take advantage of that and register at comprehended.co. With that, if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat or in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer them. Before I forget, Thursday, Lynn Hendrick, German teacher, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern this Thursday. I will see you then. Otherwise, I will see you next week, same time, same channel. Have a good one, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.